that's still kind of, I think, getting its legs. But I think the baby giraffe stage is just about over for U.S. soccer. It's time for Mama to run here.
Well, Rob, you're a man who loves sports, and I must say, from our listeners and the Twitter world, they feel they have been cheated on when they see you talking about other sports other than soccer. You've become an important figure in U.S. soccer. How does that feel?
It makes me smile, to be honest. I love soccer. It's my DNA. It's my passion. But I love the outlet that college basketball and college football and some of the other sports that I've been fortunate enough to cover have allowed me. I think it makes me a better person at home and at work. But I do smile when soccer people send me notes. What are you doing on my screen? Stop talking about football. Start talking about soccer. And it's kind of a reminder for me that, hey, we've made it. They recognize somebody as a soccer guy. There weren't soccer guys when I was growing up, really, and now we've got plenty of them. So to me, I take it as a sign of the growth of the game.
Oh, awesome. Well, Rob, thank you so much. Here on the show, we have our shameless plug, so just tell the listeners where they can find you, and obviously they should know that you're on Fox Sports, but your Twitter handle and anything else you'd like to plug.
Yeah, I don't know. I got a Twitter handle. I got some Instagram. It's no big deal. Just watch Fox Sports and FS1, and make sure you're watching the World Cup this summer. It's going to be a hell of a show. Absolutely. Well, thanks again, Rob. You got it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Rob.
Jake, Rob Stone really carries the flag for U.S. soccer, and we're in a weird spot when it comes to any of this from the media. I mean, but his comment on go watch the World Cup kind of is like, I don't know, it's like a dog and it hears something and the head suddenly pops up and you're like, what's going on? Because you obviously as a human don't hear what dogs hear. That's exactly my initial reaction when he said that, because it illustrates the failure of the men's national team and how it's going to economically kill Fox in the coverage. Because they spent a lot of money to get the rights for this World Cup, thinking the U.S. would be there.
Right. I think you're 100% correct there, because if the U.S. did qualify for Russia, well, there'd be no need to say go watch the World Cup this summer, because instead you wouldn't be saying that. You'd be saying
go to a bar and watch the game with everybody else,
or you'd be saying let's try to get a win against nation X, whoever that first game would be in that group. Everybody had a rooting interest until Trinidad and Tobago decided to end the hopes and dreams of U.S. soccer fans everywhere. So that loss definitely put Fox Sports behind the eight ball, if that's the right phrase.
I mean, it's not. I definitely think that's a good phrase, saying it's behind the eight ball, but it's not Stone's job to market it. It's not like I'm not picking on him for saying that. I just think it's like you can hear it in his voice, it's not something that we've had other media members on the show say similar things like, crap, not qualifying for the World Cup doesn't mean it means I'm not going to Russia anymore. It means that there are certain reporters, and a majority of them, who are just going to stay in America and cover the game from afar. It's still going to be a great World Cup. I think Fox is going to put a great package together. I think, they've done a good job. The Women's World Cup in 2015, the Confederations Cup, Copa America, they do a good job of putting it all together. That's not the issue. It's just the fact that, a lot of neutral fans will not be watching this game because the USA failed to qualify, and Stone and Fox are sitting there, not saying like Stone apart, but he is part of Fox, and they're looking at the situation and realizing, oh man, this could put us under in some sense, or one way or the
right
in various ways.
Not to mention too, since it's in Russia, all those games, here in the Western Hemisphere, you're going to have games on a random Tuesday morning that start at 7:00 in the morning when people are getting up, getting ready to go to work. Yeah, now those casual fans have no reason really now to take off work and at least watch the U.S. because the U.S. isn't going. So, I mean, Rob Stone and Fox have every reason to try their best to market the World Cup.
I mean, it's going to promote, I think, among soccer fans, fine. It's the national audience that you are now losing. If the USA had qualified, especially with the rise of Christian Pulisic and the stardom that is behind him, and probably in this upcoming summer there would have been a transfer saga with him. Manchester United, I bet you Real Madrid will be linked with him. Probably one of the another English club, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool. They're all going to be surrounding his name. So you have the off-the-field conversation. You have the dynamic of the United States playing in Russia after the presidential election, the Trump ties, Trump not ties, whatever, fake news, this, that. I mean, you're talking about an entire cluster bleep of media and sports and politics colliding in one spot at one moment, which would have been awesome. But nope, we couldn't get the draw in Trinidad and Tobago. And yeah. But moving on to something else Rob Stone said is his reaction to the promotion and relegation talk.
That got him fired up, didn't it?
Yeah, he seemed...
He kind of when he got rolling when we brought up, would it benefit U.S. Soccer and MLS to have an open system?
Well, it's interesting because at first he was no, and then he kind of shifted because he realized he was putting himself in a corner, which he didn't want to, which is really easy to do in a situation like this. I think if you listen carefully, it's no at first because it's not realistic, and I understand. Like, if you're an owner, why would you want to? That's his argument. But I think he would like to see it. I think from Fox's point and his coverage of the game, it'd be fascinating as hell. The problem is we have the economics, and then the solution would be some sort of long-term goal that would be spanning, at least a decade to get to the position of having promotion relegation.
Yeah, his answer was calculated, because I think Rob Stone, I think Rob wants to see pro rel. I think he's a fan of pro rel, but I think he knows deep down it's not possible right now, and I'm not even sure 10 years from now it's even possible.
I mean, I think he has the sentiments of a lot of U.S. soccer enthusiasts who actually know what the game is. I mean, we put a poll out on Twitter, and it got, well over 80% yes, promotion relegation. But if you read the comments below, it was, no, it's not realistic, but yeah, everybody would like to see it. So it's very few who say no, like no. Maybe if you're an MLS owner, you're straight out no, but you have economic reasons to say no.
I mean, yeah, I think there are very few fans who are going to say no, and I don't know what their reasons are. Short of, this is MLS, it's an American league. Let's Americanize it. We don't have promotion relegation in the NBA, MLB, the NFL. Why does MLS need it? No, I mean, I would, if Winalda or any of these presidential candidates had a very viable option for promotion relegation, I'd be all for it. The problem is, like I said, it's going to take years. I'm not talking 5 years. I don't think it would even take 10 years. It might be 20, 30 years down the road from now. You need to build up those lower divisions so much. You can't be having, these teams. I mean, granted, they got teams like Cincinnati who are selling out, college football stadiums, but you have some teams like North Carolina FC who probably don't play to a crowd any bigger than 10,000 people. You can't have them come up and then lose a team like, let's just throw out a name, Seattle, who plays in a big market, who's playing to 30, 40, sometimes 50,000 fans a game. How does that impact MLS's bottom line? Granted, now if you had pro rel, you might say, well, people were more interested in watching these games, where two bad teams are playing. But I mean, how much more does that move the needle for MLS in terms of TV ratings? And I think that's what's going to come down to is just if you want pro rel in this country, the culture needs to be there, and that's something you and Armand really beat the drum on the show is soccer culture, and that's not there right now. Until people are ready to watch an MLS game like they are an NFL game, where you see two terrible teams playing on a Monday night football game, or Thursday night, until people want to watch a bad DC United team play a bad LA Galaxy team, or whoever. Until we get to that point, I don't see how we ever get to promotion relegation beyond beyond the second division. I could see USL implementing it in leagues like that. I just don't see how MLS does it. Unless their hand is ultimately forced. I mean, we talked about this off air about basically making MLS unsanctioned league. That's the only way I could see that ever happening.
Yeah, you have to put some sort of economic terms on these and make it where it is more, the risk isn't, the risk and reward is, the risk is lower than it would be to just open the system up. The problem is we don't even have the infrastructure. I mean, MLB, what Armand and I discussed on a couple episodes ago, baseball is in a much better stage to implement promotion relegation, because I don't even know what the number is, but I could probably guarantee you 99% of those clubs in the amateur leagues up to the professional leagues play in a baseball stadium. If you don't have soccer teams playing at baseball stadiums or high school football stadiums, that's not going to work. You will have to have the infrastructure for a soccer club to have their own stadium. That's why it works in other leagues. In the Premier League, they all have soccer stadiums. So it's a real fascinating. But I think Stone's a great guy because he really loves the sport, and you can hear it in his voice. So when he talks about promotion and relegation, it almost tears his heart apart, because he's one side, he's got the fan in him, the other side is the business, and then there's the, I'm going to be, objective about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's definitely passionate about the game, which I think is what we need more of in the media. I mean, you could hear it in his voice how excited he was just for how, the direction MLS is going in right now. Talking about the haves and have-nots and this
it's starting
influx of extra money in the league right now.
I mean, MLS is starting to take a shape. Like you're starting to see a divide, and you're starting to see the class acts, and you're going to, the have-nots and the underdogs and the old man of the, say LA Galaxy versus the LAFC is going to be fascinating, because you have that. You're starting to see the league develop an image.
Yeah, it's evolving. It's no longer that retirement league. It doesn't have that stigma really anymore. Yeah. It's becoming a league where you have these young up and coming South American players who want to play in MLS, and that's a hell of a lot better than where they were 5, 6, 7 years ago, when you're bringing over 36-year-old European midfielder guy. I don't know, Andre Pirlo. I mean that's
Frank
Lampard. I mean, and that wasn't even 5 years ago. That was 3, 4 years ago. So they're in a much better position now than they were just a few years ago.
No, yeah. But there you have it, listeners. Rob Stone joining the program. We've been wanting to get him on for a couple of months. It just so happened to be, I guess, today. Listeners, you can follow us on Twitter at Unc Sam Soccer Pod. Steven Jodderin, Jake Watroba. Jake, I'll let you have the closing words here.
Yeah, thanks again to Rob Stone for taking time out of his day to sit down with us, and he was on his way to pick up his kids from school, or
something like
that. So once again, thank you, Rob, so much for taking the time to talk soccer with us. It was a pleasure. Follow me on Twitter at Jake Watroba, JakeWatroba. It's just my full name, very simple. Follow me on Twitter. Come for the Wolves hot takes. Stay for the complaints about Minnesota United Football Club.
There you go. Well, listeners, thanks for joining us. Next week, we'll probably be back to our normal lineup, but I can't say that Jake has filled in well for Armand. So
I'm coming for you, Armand.
There you go. Armand, watch out. You're on the hot seat. Anyway, listeners, until next time, take care.
Go Vikes.